Gunplay is one of the most fundamental aspects of any shooter, whether it's 2D or 3D, first-person, third-person shooter, or top-down shooter like this one. It might get difficult to define exactly what gunplay is, other than saying that it's how your weapon feels. But some of the most defining game mechanics are things like camera movement, bullet trails, muzzle effects, blood effects from the target, other general VFX, widening of the crosshairs, sound effect, and so on. Of course, you don't actually feel anything, you just hear and see the representation of the real thing. So what you see here is the update of the gunplay. The enemies are represented by the yellow boxes for now. Soon they'll be replaced by things like character models, animations, and AI. The blood effects, which I kind of like, is from this Unity asset. You can check out all the links below. Just keep in mind that I could not use this right out of the box. I had to change a lot of the code as well as the settings for it to fit my game. Speaking of which, I talked about this video, this tutorial in my last video. It shows you how to create the FOV. I loved it, it's great. Except it was using sine, cosine operations way too many times. I would like to keep that to 0 if possible, so I rewrote some of the code to use simple vectors and quaternions to achieve the same results. To represent the cone, or the field of view, you're drawing individual triangles that add up to become the big triangle. What this means is that the more triangles, or the more lines that you use, the less performant your game is going to be. The problem with sines, cosines, tangents is that they're easy to use as a mathematical formula, but on your CPU, they take quite a long time to process, relatively. But all you're doing is deciding the angles of your triangles, and that could be done by basic vector arithmetics. So in the original code, using a few hundred rays will give you significant frame drops. Whereas now with the new code, even if I use thousands of rays, on this same machine, it's multiple times smoother, and you're getting a better looking, more detailed FOV. So again, you can't expect to simply download assets and turn them into your own game. Let me show you another scene. This is a separate scene which I used to screenshot the thumbnail for this video. Here it might look more like a third-person shooter, but the underlying code is the same. This is just basic geometry. Simply by using vectors and quaternions, you can turn this into a third-person shooter, a first-person shooter, a top-down shooter, a tank game, a jet fighter game, whatever. Let me get back to my previous scene. So I'm happy enough with what I'm seeing here. I enjoy putting in subtle details like shells ejecting, even though most likely you won't even see it most of the time. There's also a bit of smoke as you hit the wall, a bit of sparks and muzzle effects every time you fire or hit something. These little things are satisfying to me. They're sort of like bells and whistles that you would expect after a certain action. Kind of like getting dopamine from certain numbers and notifications that you might get from an app. I plan on adding more. I haven't exactly decided what to add. But we know the typical examples: headshots, multi-kills, bosses, loot drops, etc. These things will continue to be added as I go. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can reach me on my Discord server. All the links are below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.